I just want to welcome Manley first and foremost. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks, Jared. How are you?
I'm doing great. Manley's going to be one of our keynote speakers at HCIC at Home, the virtual conference, November 16th through 18th. And you can learn more about his inspiring keynotes and his latest book. It's called Reaching Your Next Summit. You can hear more about that at verticallessons.com. So Manley, the time really has come, if we haven't gotten to this point yet, of starting to think through how are we going to succeed. How are we going to go into the unknown? The industry's gone through a lot this year. There were the early days of all-nighters, of redoing all signage, of creating new websites, of telling Google, here's now this location is closed. Now this location is different hours. Now this doctor's working out of this office. And that was not easy. It feels like we've been out of that phase for a few months now. And now we're just saying, okay, everything in front of us is unknown. What do we do? So where do we go from there? How do we start leading into the unknown?
Yes, great question. One of the things I've learned the hard way, as you mentioned, my work is sort of based on these two realities and worlds in which I've straddled for years, and that is one is going into the wilderness or the outdoors or mountains and trying to experience something that's challenging and climb a mountain, and then in the business world, dealing with all the stresses that you're dealing with right now. And what I've found is lots of lessons and insights that have really helped me and helped others and that I've worked with. One of the first things I noticed is that I would come back to the world of business is that it was very challenging to focus. And then, whether we're in the middle of a pandemic or just any modern American business is typically under a lot of pressure. People seem like they're always working with less resources, and now is crazier than ever. And I've always asked people this question. I said, do you feel like in your life and your work and your personal life and your professional life, do you feel like you're trying to climb one mountain in your life, or do you feel like you're trying to climb multiple mountains? And everyone always answers multiple, right? How about for you, right? It's lots of different things you're trying to do, right? And then what I noticed in the world, when we climb something, we have to go and pick a area, a mountain, and then, in a specific route. And that's it. You're climbing one thing at a time, period. It's not possible to do that. And it demands a presence and a focus. So what this yielded is this lesson I call declaring your current climb. So what it means is it's really important to explain what it means and what it doesn't mean. Because a lot of people, as soon as I say that, they go, okay, I can't just do one project, Manley. You don't understand. I can't just turn all these other things off. And I totally understand. What I'm asking people to do is to have the clarity, always have the clarity to know of all the projects and all the initiatives in my life. It can be a project or not. Which one is the most important? It's going to be the highest value, high leverage. And which one am I going to declare momentum on? And so it's a declaration of momentum to say, this initiative, I'm going to move forward every single day, no matter what. And then I'll get to all these other things I'm dealing with, right? It's hard, though. This is a conversation I want to encourage people to have, is ask the question of their leadership and say, hey, here's these 15 things and initiatives that, were important. Things are constantly changing right now too, right? So I think for us to keep going after all the big list and assume that everything still is urgent, we can't do that. We have to constantly go back and ask, what's changed? What's our most important initiative right now that's going to serve our patients and people and our healthcare organizations at the highest level? And what is that? Where do we need to have that momentum? What's the most important project or initiative of all of them? And just pick one and move that forward every single day. So that's one way in which I think we can lead in the unknown, is about getting clarity and getting focus, first of all. It's also about relationships too. So that's another piece that talk about a lot as well. Is how do we support people proactively in that situation?
Okay, so let's dig into relationships then, because you mentioned that as an important aspect of this too. Talk about relationships.
Answer to the question I always get. People say, well, how can you do that? How can you climb sheer walls, live on them for days, anywhere in the world? Not to mention an environment that might be a hostile political environment, or not having English-speaking team members. Or I've been in some very interesting situations that we'll talk about in the keynote. But it's really about the connection and that relationship with the person that is, someone has the rope in their hands for you. And as you know, there's something very powerful about trusting and knowing this person's got me. They've got my back no matter what. And so that really is one of the core fundamental lessons above all else that I've tried to really reverse engineer and to bring that into the world of business for us in my work. And the how to on that, I think most people would get that. If I said, if your relationships are stronger, are you less stressed? Are you more successful? Are you more fulfilled? The answer is absolutely yes, right? So then how do we go about that? And I think what we really have to do, and especially now more than ever, is be really intentional about building relationships and maintaining and deepening relationships with people in our lives that we need for ourselves and that we know they might need our support, right? Some people push back and say, well, Manley, I connect with people all day long. I got email, voicemail coming on my ears. So one thing this is not is just you being responsive to what you have to do, right? Be responsive to all the inputs. This is outbound, and it's being very just intentional and strategic in a way to ask a simple question every day. Two simple questions I encourage people to ask. One is, who do I need on belay today? So who's holding the rope for me today? Who do I need to be my best self today? And that might be someone, personal life, spiritual life, professional life. But whoever that is, I want you to think of that person and, make a little note, their name or their initials or whatever. And then the second piece of that question, second question is, who do I know might need me on belay today? So one thing, don't overanalyze this, right? Just let your heart or your head, something's going to come to you right away. A person's going to pop in your mind, and trust that. Trust your intuition and your mind and all the power we have on board to figure that out. And then reach out to that person outbound. So it's not inbound, it's outbound, and just let them know you're thinking of them. And hey, I've got you on my mind today. How are you? I got your back. I know you're struggling with something, or it's just a simple, meaningful, intentional connection. And what happens if we do this consistently outbound, what happens is those relationships start to be stronger. And then whenever the stress comes, or you're having to have a difficult conversation, it really gives you the courage, first of all, to move forward and lead in your own way, and be whether you have a leadership title or not. And it really serves others. I mean, that's fundamentally what we're trying to do, right? Is how do we do that? So it's something that it's really simple, but I think executing it consistently can be challenging, but it's absolutely worth it.
What do you hope attendees get from your keynote, like that they can take away with them and keep using in their lives? Like what's one thing that just stands out that you think, hey, if nothing else, I hope they get this out of attending my presentation?
The thing that I really hope people get out of my presentation is an inspiring and motivated anchor a moment for themselves, for you, right? So I don't know what it is for you. Why would it be this? We talked about this earlier. Why would it be worth it for you to take something I share with you or anything else you pick up in the virtual conference and implement it? Because I know we're going to have great content. You're going to hear stuff that's like, oh yeah, that's brilliant what they're doing over there. Why don't we do that? Even in a virtual conference, and feel good and be motivated, write down. But what's going to really push you to actually implement that when you in a week or two, right? So I hope most that people find their own personal reason, their inspiration, their motivation. So yeah, people are struggling with this. I mean, even though we're starting to get in a groove, I feel like people need to be lifted up and recharged and feel refreshed a bit, and like, okay, there's some injection of hope as well. Before we know it, we're going to be looking back and go, wow, can you believe what we did? Because I believe everybody watching this I believe you have what you need inside and the lessons and experiences in your life to navigate through this. And I think we're just a little more intentional about who we help and how we connect with people, and our focus and momentum, some of the things we shared, we're gonna get through this before we know it.
Oh, thanks so much. Well, in the meantime, I can't wait to attend the keynote. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay well, and I look forward to staying connected with you.
Thank you, Jared. Appreciate you. Thanks for having me on.